Props are models that you can place in your map. These can include things such as rocks and foliage, windows and door frames, barrels and crates, or even trains and the tracks that go with them. Props are created outside of Hammer using modeling software and are generally higher detail and quality than you can create using brushes. There are 4 types of props you may or may not have heard about in Hammer: prop static, prop dynamic, prop detail, and prop physics. Prop detail is something you will generally never have to manually place, so just ignore that one. Prop dynamics are props that can move or animate, for example, trains or chimneys. This isn't something we are going to cover this early though, so don't worry about them just yet. Prop physics are props that can be tossed around by players, like traffic cones or beer bottles. These are also something you shouldn't worry about, as they are usually placed later in the detailing process of your map. That leaves prop static. This entity is probably the most commonly used while mapping for TF2. These props will always be stationary in the map and are very efficient on the engine. Place an entity and change it to prop_static and press enter twice. You'll see that your options have changed and that your entity is now a red box. If you click on the World Model row of the Object Properties window, the Browse button appears on the right-hand side. Hitting it brings up the Model Browser. At the top of this window is a mod filter where you can enter TF and filter for only Team Fortress 2 props, just like in the Material Browser. At the bottom is another filter box where you can type in the prop you are looking for. Let's look for the classic train prop by filtering for engine car, all one word. These names are something you learn over time, but in a moment I'll show you an easy way to look at most of your available props. Double-click on the prop you want to select and hit Apply in the Object Properties window to bring it into your map. We'll move our train roughly into position where we want it. We can rotate our prop using the same method as our brushwork. We can also shift, drag, and release to copy our prop anywhere we'd like. One limitation, however, is that we cannot stretch or skew the prop. Most prop statics come with collision built in. To see this, we can press the CM button on the top bar here. The yellow outline shows where the player will collide with the prop. We can turn this off by double-clicking on the prop and setting collisions to not solid. Hitting apply and deselecting the prop shows our collision mesh as purple lines, indicating that it is currently off. If a prop doesn't have these lines, it means it has no built-in collision. However, Solidity still defaults to v-physics, meaning on, and you'll see the prop listed in your console as an error if you leave it like that after compiling. So if you want to keep things nice and tidy like I do, set those types of props to non-solid. Since we will so commonly use prop statics in our map, we can streamline our workflow a bit by going to Tools, Options, Game Configurations. Under Default Point Entity class, we can change it from Info Player Team Spawn to Prop Static. After a quick restart of Hammer, clicking on the map with our Entity tool will drop a Prop Static red box, saving us a whole bunch of entity changing down the road. Another type of prop are pickups. These are your health and ammo packs that you can interact with in the map. They both come in small, medium, and full. To place a pickup, place an entity down and type in either health or ammo into the class box. This brings up your options of size, which you can then select. I'm going to place a small health pack and a medium ammo. I try to place these off the ground as that's how most Valve maps tend to do it. Now that we have our train prop in place and our health and ammo is in position, let's quickly compile the map and make sure it's all working in game. You can see that our train is solid and that we can stand on it where the collision mesh was showing in Hammer. We can also pick up our health and ammo packs, which will respawn after a short amount of time by default. Moving back into Hammer, I can show you a very valuable resource that you get with a Boojum Snark's TF2 mapping resource pack that you install with episode 1 of this series, the prop libraries. These are VMF files with almost every prop you have at your disposal. They're very convenient for browsing props when you're not quite sure what your options are or what you want to use yet. Sometimes I fly through these libraries to help trigger detailing ideas when I'm not 100% sure on what I want to do. To open the libraries, go to File, Open. The default folder that your map saves in is where they are stored. They are divided into 3 parts due to Hammer not being able to handle loading all those props at the same time without causing it to crash. Let's load up Part A first. Keep in mind it's important not to load more than one of these up at a time or you risk crashing. Flying around, you can see a veritable smorgasbord of props at your disposal. If you don't see any props, go to your viz groups on the side here and make sure all the checkboxes are selected. To bring a prop from here into your map, it's as simple as selecting the one you want to use, pressing Ctrl-C to copy it, go back to your map file, and hitting Ctrl-V to place your prop where your cursor is in the 3D view. This also automatically snaps your prop to whatever you're clicking, which is handy for placing your prop firmly on the floor or against a wall. Often I'll cut a prop using Ctrl-X and paste it back in to make sure it's sitting correctly even if I didn't grab it from the library originally. My first map I ever created, I placed a whole bunch of props and then realized that all of them were just about 8 Hammer units off the floor when I spawned into it. Using this trick I would have solved that problem. Mind you, this doesn't snap it to the grid though, so giving it a little bit of a wiggle on the top view isn't a bad idea to snap it fully into place. Feel free to look into the other 2 prop libraries for any other props you may be interested in using. Remember that not all props have collision though, so be sure to check for it after you place it. In the next and final episode of Chapter 1 of our series, we are going to cover some possible errors you may encounter, a few resources you have at your disposal to deal with said errors, and take a brief look at some of the key parts of our compile log.